In the busy corners of our cities, we often walk past people without truly seeing them. Among them are souls with stories. Stories of love, loss, dreams shattered, and hearts still hoping. This is the story of Ramu, a once skilled tailor turned beggar whose life was broken by tragedy, but whose fate took a turn with one simple, selfless act. It's a story of pain, resilience, and the unexpected power of kindness. Sometimes all it takes is one moment, one person, one coin to change everything. The coin that changed everything. The winter air was bitter in the small city of Olwa. The streets lay wrapped in a grey fog, and the world seemed to move faster than usual. Pedestrians rushed by, their collars upturned and heads bowed, shielding themselves from the cold. On the cracked pavement beside the old Hanuman temple sat an old man. His name was Ramu, but to most, he was just the beggar by the temple. Wrapped in a torn shawl and sitting on a threadbare mat, Ramu extended his shaking hand to the passers-by. His fingers were thin and knotted with age, and his eyes, though dulled by years, still held a trace of softness. Ramu hadn't always begged. Once, long ago, he had been a tailor, a good one, known for stitching clothes that fit like poetry. He had a small shop, a loving wife, and a daughter with eyes like the evening sky. Life was simple but full. Then came the fire. It started from a neighbouring shop. Within minutes, flames had devoured his tiny tailoring store. The machines, cloth, records, everything turned to ash. Insurance was a word he'd never understood, and help never came. He tried to restart, borrowing money from distant relatives, but the loans grew like vines around his neck, and then his wife fell ill. Tuberculosis. The cost of treatment drained every coin left. He sold his house, pawned his sewing machine, and still it wasn't enough. She died in the winter of that year, leaving him with their daughter, Mina. Mina was all he had left, and he tried, oh how he tried, to raise her. But hunger has a way of twisting dreams. On some days, there wasn't even enough for a piece of stale roti. She grew thin and quiet. Eventually, he could no longer afford school fees. She dropped out. He watched the light in her eyes fade a little every day, until one morning she was gone. She left a note. "Baba, don't search for me. I will work and survive. I love you, but I can't see you suffer anymore." That was 10 years ago. Now Ramu sat outside the temple, living off alms, surviving on temple prasad and the mercy of strangers. He spoke little, laughed less. People passed him by like he was part of the scenery. One late afternoon, as the orange sun dipped behind the temple dome, a little boy approached him. He couldn't have been more than 10. His shirt was neat and he had a school bag hanging from one shoulder. He stared at Ramu for a moment, then pulled out a coin and placed it gently in Ramu's palm. Ramu looked down at the shiny 5 rupee coin. It wasn't much, but something about the way it was given, deliberate, respectful, made his eyes well up. "Thank you, Beta," he said hoarsely. The boy smiled. "My teacher told us to always help someone who needs it. I thought of you." Ramu nodded, the coin still resting in his hand. "What's your name?" "Arjun," the boy replied. He stayed for a few more moments, asking Ramu about his life, his name, and whether he needed anything. No one had asked Ramu questions in years. It felt strange, like being noticed after a long time in the shadows. That night, Ramu didn't sleep on the cold ground like he usually did. He held the coin close to his chest. It wasn't the money. It was the feeling of being seen, of being remembered. The next day, Arjun returned. This time, he brought a sandwich wrapped in foil. "Ma made this for you," he said, placing it in Ramu's hands. From that day on, Arjun came every evening. Sometimes he brought food, sometimes a warm pair of socks, sometimes just stories from school. Ramu began to smile again. He would wait for Arjun's little footsteps with a heart that beat a little faster. One evening, Arjun came with a woman. She looked to be in her late 20s, dressed simply, but with a grace that reminded Ramu of someone long ago. "This is my friend Meena Didi," Arjun said cheerfully. Ramu's breath caught in his throat. The woman looked at him, really looked at him, and dropped to her knees. Tears spilled from her eyes before words. "Baba!" she whispered. Ramu's hands trembled. "Meena!" She embraced him, sobbing into the folds of his ragged shawl. "I looked for you. I searched everywhere. I work at a shelter now. I never stopped thinking about you." For a moment, time froze. The temple bells rang in the background, and Ramu clung to his daughter like a man who had been lost at sea and finally found the shore. She took him home that very night, washed his feet, gave him warm food, clean clothes and a bed to sleep in. She worked for an NGO that helped the homeless and the abandoned. It turned out she had been rescued years ago by kind strangers who gave her a new chance. "Now it's my turn," she told him, holding his hand, "to give back, to bring people like you home." Ramu stared at the ceiling of her small apartment. He felt the softness of the blanket, the smell of clean soap, the peace of family. He thought of that shiny 5 rupee coin, one act of kindness, one little boy. Sometimes a miracle doesn't come with trumpets or flashes of light. Sometimes it comes with a small hand, a kind word, and a coin that changes everything. Ramu's journey is more than just the story of a beggar. It's the story of a father, a survivor, and the unbreakable bond of love. It shows us that no matter how dark life gets, a single act of kindness can light the way home. Arjun's small gesture became the turning point in Ramu's life, leading him back to the daughter he thought he had lost forever. Let this story be a reminder. Never underestimate the power of a kind heart, because sometimes what you give to the world comes back to you in the most unexpected, beautiful ways.
If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Learn and Success for more emotional and inspiring stories. Let's celebrate the love that often goes unnoticed, one story at a time.